I'm Vanessa with Ellie Mac, and welcome back to my sewing room, and welcome back to building our capsule wardrobe. This is week 8. This is the final week, and today we're going to be discussing outerwear and how to organize those large patterns, as well as we're going to be doing the conclusion of this capsule wardrobe. Let's jump into it. Yes, I'm still here. Yes, I'm still doing this, but it's the last week and we're going to end with a bang with outerwear. So I know that when we're choosing our patterns, sometimes we're like, that looks like a hard pattern, and I'm not for sure if I'm going to be able to accomplish that. So some of you guys know that my kids do school at home. It was something that they decided that was better for them. So that's why we do that. But I've learned a lot about education, and what I've learned is that when teaching math, you need to hear auditory, visual, tactile. There's just a lot of different ways to learn the same thing over and over again. And if you do things differently, it's going to kind of help with your memory. And so I started implementing a lot of those techniques into my sewing. And so I'm going to show you how I implement those to help me have better outcome. I'm also going to show you the programs that I use, my projector, my cutting tools, all of those things as well. So the first pattern that we're going to do today is the timeless trench coat. So I took one day to cut it. I took 1.5 days to sew it. And I'm going to show you how I organize that pattern. Now, why I chose this pattern is because last year I saw the most beautiful tweed trench coat where I buy groceries, and I wanted it so bad, but I'm trying really hard not to buy RTW. So I passed on it. And my husband got his tickets for this historical train ride during Christmas. And so I am bundled up with my sweater. I have my heated coat on. I have my warm boots on. My family's dressed just like this because we've done this before and it gets cold. And we're sitting there on the train and I look up and this beautiful blonde walks in that trench coat. And oh my goodness, it was just like this 10 seconds of my self-esteem just plummeting. It was like Instagram exploded all over me. And I've had to go back and think about this moment and analyze why my feelings were like that for just that short 10 seconds. And so flashback to today when I'm picking the trench coat to sew, I'm like, do I want to make that tweed coat that I wanted so bad? And I decided not to. First of all, because I'm not tall. I'm 5'5", which is average. And that much coat kind of drowns me. So I decided to sew a coat that's going to match my body. I also had this fabric in my stash. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but one year we went a little crazy with Christmas and we made bags and we found this fabric from one of these discount stores. And I think it's wool, and we were going to totally turn these into gift bags for Christmas, but luckily we didn't. So let me show you all of this with this beautiful trench coat. The program that I use is patternprojector.com, and I calibrate it to my 2 mats. Once I have it calibrated, it's time to pull up my pattern. And as you can see, this was what you normally see, but I actually invert my lines and then I'm going to just select my size. And you can see how easy it is to do. There's so many different options on this free program that's just on the internet. And then I'm going to be pulling up the Ellie Mac instructions and writing down an inventory of what I need based on what I chose. This is my Epson short throw projector that I bought off eBay, but there are other projectors that you can get. This is my Fiskars cutting rotary cutter, and I always change the blade when I have big projects, and this is my quilting square that that I absolutely love. These are some pattern weights that I inherited from my husband's grandparents, and then this is the inventory of what I'm going to actually need for this pattern. So yes, I absolutely write it out on these big patterns. Now, whenever I'm doing interfacing, I make sure that I have my good side down, so right side's down, and then I put my interfacing on so I can just take it right to the iron after I cut it. So while I'm cutting, I'm also getting my interfacing on. So here's that right here. This iron is a Chi, and I actually got it at a discount store for like $16. And then this is how I use my inexpensive mannequin. I actually use it as like a board where you pin things on, but I'm actually pinning where they go on the actual coat. And you can see that I'm using that inventory. I actually cut it up and then I put it with each piece of fabric, and I pin this all together on my mannequin so I can actually visualize it. This helps me so much when I'm trying to figure out how pieces go together. So I definitely suggest, if you struggle, to give this a try. So this is what my mannequin looks like when I'm all completely done cutting it out. It is just one piece of fabric at this point, but everything is labeled. Now, after I get done cutting and putting everything together, it's time for me to look through the directions before I start sewing. And usually this is just day one. And then I sew it together piece by piece. And this is how my trench coat turned out. As you can see, I actually didn't use the belt loops or the ties because I frankly did not think I needed it. My son picked out these cute little military buttons, and I think having the right size as well as not so long looks really nice on my body. I know that seems like so much prep work, but honestly, it does help, especially when I'm testing and I want to make sure that I'm going to do a good job. I love having that list of inventory. Now, when I did the gin polish, they're very similar to the trench coat, so I felt a little bit more comfortable just cutting out what I needed because I wasn't adding the sleeves. I wasn't doing all these things, but I still used my mannequin. So I'm going to show you how I use my mannequin as well as how I have my pattern instructions up. I feel like with Ellie Mac's patterns, not only are you getting a pattern, but you're getting a full sewing lesson as well. And then, you can even turn on the tutorial sew along. So you have multiple instructions going at the same time, and you're also getting the visual of how it's going, as well as you're hearing Diana tell you how to sew it, and you're reading the instructions that have so many pictures. So let me show you how I bring it all together so I can make sure that I'm making a little bit less mistakes and I can see how the pattern is getting put together as I'm sewing. So here is the behind the scenes of me actually sewing. I stand and sew, and then I have my back table behind me. This is usually what you see film of, and I have a whiteboard over it. And this helps me organize as well. So I take pieces off the mannequin and take them to my table. So right here I'm working on some side pockets. So I got them on the front of the shirt, and now I need to add them onto the back. And so I take those pockets where they should be on the mannequin, and I can easily know where they are and attach them. This is such a time saver because I'm never looking at the pieces and wondering what exactly it is. I know exactly what each piece is, so I can easily follow along with the instructions. So this just helps me keep organized. And so now I'm going to be showing you, I'm just sewing it together per instructions. I'm going to be snipping around the curve, and then once that happens, I'm going to take it over to the ironing board with my ironing ham. This is a Dritz ironing ham, and then you're just always going to be ironing those seams down flat. So this is just me following the instructions and making sure that each piece is going one by one. And so after I get done with that, I'm gonna just add it right back onto my mannequin. And now it's time to start doing the liner. And that was how I finished this cute vest. Sorry, my chicken walked by. This is Dolores. She's kind of a princess. But this is how my vest turned out. And oh my goodness, I love it. It's gonna be perfect for those days that are a little bit cooler fall days, so just enough warmth. And I didn't add all the belt loops. I did cut them and make them, and I bought buttons, but I decided that this looked best without those extra details, and I just love this. So I finished both of these, and I'm like, it is time for me to watch a Hallmark movie. I don't know what it was about these patterns, but I'm just like, oh, this, it just got me in the mood for it. I feel like, I could own a little shop and have these cute little jackets. So I'm really excited about how both of these turned out. And with all these things I'm telling you to try and do, it doesn't mean that I didn't use my seam ripper. I think I used my seam ripper twice for both of these patterns, but I feel like if I wasn't organized, I'd probably be using it a ton more. Now, speaking of being organized, doing this capsule wardrobe was so much organization. You know, I ordered the fabric before I started. I went through and I detailed listed everything that I needed to make it, to accomplish it. I cleaned out my closet, I cleaned out my loungewear clothes, everything, because I wanted to have that motivation to keep going. And boy, did that help. Just like getting rid of so much stuff and going, well, now I gotta do it, was so helpful. And then having that list of, okay, every week I'm gonna accomplish this, I'm gonna accomplish this. It came together so fast. And, you know, I did 8 weeks, I did 34 pieces of clothes, which sounds like so much. But you know, you can actually make it just a 20 piece. Like, go through your closet and see what you need. I just want to show you guys all the options. So I sewed 34 pieces of clothing. My initial investment was $255, and I have a whole new wardrobe. So I think for that, it has worked out. Finally, it's cool enough for me to actually start wearing some of these clothes. So I'm extra excited here. And just so you know, like, what my day looks like, I usually can't start sewing until 2 o'clock. So I usually sew from 2 to 5 every single day, Tuesday through Friday. So I don't have this endless time in my sewing room. I have this little block every single day that I get to be in here. So being organized every day, when I come down, I know exactly what I needed to sew, was also very helpful for me to accomplish this massive undertaking. Now, some things worked out. I feel like the majority of things worked out. I did try to make a velour lounge set that did not work out, and it was probably for the best. But overall, I feel like I have clothes that I know how to style. I know that they're gonna look good on me. And I also know that the color combinations are gonna go with each other. So I feel like this is really successful for me. And I hope that you got some tips to kind of help you build more of a wardrobe that you've sewn and you feel comfortable in it as well. So thank you for joining me. Now that it's cold, I'll start accumulating pictures of what I wear on a day-to-day basis, and I will show you if it works out. So thank you so much for watching. I know that this past 8 weeks have been so much clothes, and I really appreciate having you guys here for me. Hearing your comments just help motivate me to keep going, and thank you so much. Okay, please like, subscribe, but most importantly, comment if there's any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So have a wonderful day.
Before I let you go, let's take a quick look back in all these pieces that we've made. This is only a fraction of what we have done, but there is just so many pieces, from blouses to loungewear. There were so many different daily wear that we made that was just going to be perfect for your everyday needs. And we can't forget cardigans. This was a trench duster that we made, as well as a suede blazer and a cocoon cardi. We made 3 skirts, 7 fitted tops, 7 normal out tops we don't tuck in. We talked about jeans. These are some more of those tops. Oh my goodness, I love all of these. I'm wearing them constantly, as well as we made 3 different trousers, and these are so comfortable. All of them are amazing. Thank you for watching.